Everything old is new again. America's entertainment pop culture talk show.
It may well possess a rudimentary intelligence.
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Felt a great disturbance in the force.
Hello, I'm Mr. Red.
Come on, Mark, like a dog for me.
Where's the goodies? Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
I bet you wouldn't have done anything like this if Mom and Dad were here.
You filthy criminal.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Here are your hosts, Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Look at that. Welcome back. This is Douglas Viviani with the gangster of the radio himself, David Cohen here. And everything old is new again. I say welcome back because we're continuing our odyssey, let's say, with Gianni Russo, who was Carlo in The Godfather. And if you were following our show last week, we went through all kinds of discussions about Marilyn Monroe, JFK, and Sinatra, and just had a great time talking about Hollywood. And we're trying to explore Hollywood Godfather, My Life in the Movies and the Mob by Gianni Russo. Robert De Niro says that Gianni Russo walks the walk and talks the talk. What a life and a worthy read. This is a great book, Hollywood Godfather. This week, as you can tell by that music, we're going to continue our exploration of all things Godfather, and I think it's time to dive in. Gianni, now you're on set. You have altercation here and there with James Caan. We'll talk about that in a moment. You are acting with Al Pacino in that scene we had heard previously about, when you were basically, your character Carlo was caught setting up Sonny. And Marlon Brando, who originally didn't take to you a little bit, took to you later and was actually giving you some kind of advice during that scene. Can we talk about the advice if we can?
Oh, no, he coached me.
Right.
I mean, it was amazing. See, we were told on the call sheets, and I'm not an actor. I get a call sheet that says, ignore Marlon Brando. What do I care? I don't get bothered with the guy. The guys I was impressed with were real guys, not this actor.
Right.
I mean, I loved them from all the movies and all that. So we got really close, him and I, and he loved him. There's a long story. It would be another hour to tell that story. But anyway, I spent a lot of time with the guy. So I was allowed in his dressing room while he was getting his 3 or 4 hours of makeup. And he really taught me a lot of things. He said, how are you going to do this? Like this scene. Now, you die. You read the end. But how are you going to portray the scene on this giant screen, a single shot of you? You have to show the fear of death, that you're going to die. And you got to convince the audience that you don't know you're going to die. He said, that's a tremendous acting scene. He said, let me tell you a couple of tips. I said, please.
Right.
He said, when they hand you the ticket, look down, open the ticket, one finger, just to make sure that the ticket's there. It's like a security blanket.
Right.
He said, get him a drink. You can't even put the drink. You're so afraid of dying. Let him help you with the drink. And then when he asks you who approached you, was it Tattaglia or Barzini, look around the room. Take your time with it. Look at all these killers. And then lean into him and whisper, it was Barzini. I mean, to me, that was the only acting I did in the whole movie. Everything else was physical.
Right.
But to get that scene, and then what really got everybody crazy, he's on the set that day. Everybody was going crazy on the radio. And they had numbers for him. He had number one, obviously. Number one is on the set. Who screwed up here today? He's not working. And he said, no, I'm going to help the kid. I'm helping that friend.
So while that scene was being filmed, he was off camera, but, right there, I guess is what you're saying, overlooking and probably giving you some advice here and there in between takes, right? How many takes did that take?
Oh, my God. But see, again, for the layman out there, they don't realize. They shoot the master. So everybody that's in that room is in the master. Then they'll come in maybe on a 2-shot over my shoulder with Pacino and them standing. Then they come over, Pacino you're going, that's like a 14-hour day.
And he's there the whole time?
No, he knew, because he had the blocking of the scenes. He was there for when we sat down finally.
Gotcha.
And Pacino hands me the ticket. He wanted to make sure that was right. And every time they yelled cut, he'd come over, whisper in my ear. I mean, this is amazing.
It's amazing. The king of the Babe Ruth, if you will, of method acting, and he's giving you some pointers. That's unreal. You know, and now here's the thing: you're right across from Al Pacino for some of that. One of Al Pacino's first roles, if not the first role, and
no, Panic at Eagle Park was his first.
Okay, there you go. But he was extremely nervous. They didn't like him. They didn't want him to be on set at some point in time. They wanted a different actor, and they gave the director a hard time through this whole thing. Your scene, was it in the beginning or the end of the filming process with Pacino? Because when I understand towards the end, of course, he gained more confidence and was doing a better job.
No, it was, well, let me tell you, after the wedding scene, they knew he could do it.
Right.
They stopped threatening even Francis they were going to fire.
Right.
Because they originally had Jimmy Caan playing Michael.
Right.
Carmine Caridi, who was in a play called The Man from La Mancha, because he's a big guy, he was playing Sonny. So then I got into the picture, and they traded out Carmine Caridi, where Pacino just made a deal with Columbia for a movie called The Gang That Couldn't Shoot Straight. So they made Carmine Caridi the lead of that movie. They got Pacino for their part, and I played Carlo. But you're so right about the first couple of weeks, we thought they were going to wrap the picture.
Right.
They weren't happy with the dailies because they saw, how is this guy, Corleone, the little soldier. But when you think about it, it was brilliant on Francis's part to have this guy emote to becoming a killer. He had more reason than he wanted to become, when he wanted to go kill, Sollozzo and McCluskey, the cop. That's when you saw Michael come alive.
Right.
Rather than a tough guy from beginning to end like Jimmy Caan would have played it.
So your scene, of course, was after that. So in the call sheet, in other words, in the timing of actually filming the movie. So how was it acting with him? Was he pretty much? It seems like he would be pretty much all business and to himself and doing his thing. Or did he reach out to you at all, or what? How did he?
No, Pacino. And you nailed it. Most of the thespians stayed in character.
Right.
I was me. Carlo was me. I was Carlo. I was always in character. But I was having fun. I was doing everything on the set. We had 700 people up there. We're crazy.
But Pacino is all business. It sounds like, right?
Well, I mean,
obviously
why not?
Yeah.
Why not? He's the lead of the movie. He's carrying it.
Absolutely. So now, what about James Caan? That scene, everybody sees these rumors, and I think this goes around that he broke your wrist when, if anybody's listening, remembers the scene where after you have an altercation with his sister, you're on the streets of New York. He throws, I think whatever this thing was, a billy club at you and tracks you down and starts beating you up. From the book, from what I understand, lots of that was kind of like heartfelt on his behalf. He was having a good time. We'll just say there were no stuntmen involved, and I think he broke your rib. No.
No. Yeah. Well, it happened first. We rehearsed that for a day for the camera setups. Going from, like you said, the stoop where I was taking bets, and then he pulls up, which I gave his sister that beating to lure him there.
Right.
And that was the whole setup. So with that, because Barzini made me a better deal, and so the whole setup was to do this, and when he throws that billy club, that was not in the rehearsal, and he hits me square on the head. Thank God I fell behind the car, so they cut there. They checked me out. It was just a little scalp thing. And then he throws me over the railing with the garbage pails, and they're the old garbage pail covers. They're made of iron. He's banging my friggin' elbow. He chips my elbow. And I'm saying, what the hell is this? This is my first movie.
Right.
I'm saying, wow, this is crazy. These guys get hurt. I thought that's what happened.
Right.
I didn't know. And then he's, doing this whole scene. And then when I crawl out, we rehearsed it for the whole day before. He was supposed to just tip me with his toe. As soon as he made contact, I roll over into the fire hydrant. He kicked me and lifted me up. He broke 2 of my ribs.
Yeah. Now, what? It was some altercation or something, a practical joke that went awry, I think, before that.
Him,
Yeah, he had some. But what did he have against you, or was he just taking his aggressions out, or what?
You know what it was? I don't know his financial situation at that time. He just did Brian Piccolo and all that. But he's seeing me, I'm dressing in Brioni suits. These guys are wearing khaki pants, coming up in a station wagon. I have a Chinese chick driving me to the set every day. And in fact, it was one of the things Brando was attracted to. He says, "Is that your car? The studio gave it to you." Yes, that's my car. He said, "How'd you get a car like that?" So I got a lot of business. But only because of Costello. I had a couple of $100,000 by the time I made that movie in cash.
Right.
So,
wow.
And that car at that time wasn't that expensive. It was like, I think I bought it for $55,000. But I was going to ride in those station wagons. I'm a movie star. Right. I wanted to be like Fred Astaire, Cagney. I wouldn't be these schmucks. I mean, Diane Keaton, when she showed up, I didn't even know who it was.
All right. Well, we'll be back right after this, and everything old is new again with Gianni Russo, Carlo from The Godfather.
You're listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
And we're back here talking to Gianni Russo, Carlo from The Godfather, behind-the-scenes stories, and we left off talking about James Caan. But you, so that rubbed him the wrong way, and he just took it out on you, I guess.
Yeah, and he actually, when he got the part, he thought he was Sonny Corleone. He's hanging out with real guys, I know everybody was around. Carmine, he was around a lot of the Columbos. And I don't know, he got stupid. Thank God, though, the practical joke he tried to pull was at Jilly's, the watering hole of Sinatra's.
Right.
And everybody hung there, and I'm at the bar with Boozy DeChico, Frankie Boy DeChico's father, and he's a made guy with the Gambinos, and Tommy Bilotti, who was my best man for 2 of my weddings. And this kid's the toughest guy in the world. And he got shot down with Paul Castellano at Sparks because he became his driver.
Right.
So, I mean, these guys were real. And what Jimmy said to me, they heard it.
Right.
And when Junior got crazy, they came right to my defense. And that's how we own Jimmy. We own Jimmy now. If I want Jimmy, I got him. Because he lost the decision. They gave him a lesson about the mob, a flash graduate class in 15 minutes. They smacked him around right in Jilly's.
How about that?
Wow.
Yeah. So, and
what is he? Do you ever need him for anything?
Me?
Yeah.
I would pee on his leg, Jimmy Caan. He's a rat. He could have got me killed. These guys are real guys. You don't play a game like that.
Yeah.
No, I mean how much more time we have, but he came to the bar and said Junior Persico is in the back with his daughter. Come by and say hello. Well, I know Junior from the Columbos. Hello. If it wasn't for the Columbos, I wouldn't have gotten the movie. So I go there and I see, I know Junior a long time, and there's nobody to play with. So I went back there and I said, "Wow, Junior, your daughter is gorgeous." As soon as I said daughter, his face contorted, and I said, "Oh man."
Yeah. Wrong
and
place.
I got out of there right away. I said, "I got to go to the bathroom. I just wanted to come back and say hello." And we need another hour to wear that story going.
Yeah, exactly. But read in the book. It's Hollywood Godfather.
Oh, yeah, man.
My Life in the Movies and the Mob. How did the mob take to the movie The Godfather when it was done? What was did they like it? They didn't like it? They
fell in love with it.
I thought so.
Okay. They fell in love with it. They started quoting it. I mean, that movie made John Gotti who John Gotti was. But he forgot, that was the secret organization he was in. It wasn't a movie.
Right, exactly. He took it the other way. We have a few more minutes, if you don't mind, Johnny. Couple.
Mine. Thank you, guys.
My pleasure. First of all, can you explain to us what is this you're the grand ambassador of the Corleone family of fine Italian food. What is that, and how do we get our hands on it?
Nobody thought about it. I went, I like business, and I first launched the Don Corleone vodka about 4 years ago. It's a vodka from Italy, very high-end, quadruple distilled, and you can go online and find that. And then I went partners with the Grecos and Sons out of Chicago. They do $6 billion of Italian groceries, importing and exporting. So we came up with a whole line of Italian foods. In fact, I even have Clemenza's meat sauce in a jar. And we own the IP of the original Genco olive oil in Godfather 2, when Bobby De Niro went over and gave it to Cheech to show him the can out of respect, and then cut him up and killed him for killing his father.
Right.
We have the original Genco olive oil. In fact, Amazon thinks they'll sell 1 million cans because we have 10 million daily followers on Godfather. Their website.
Right.
10 million daily followers. It's amazing.
So if we Google Corleone family of fine Italian food, we'll get to a website that's going to speak to us about all this?
Yeah, and then they'll tell you where it's at. We start marketing in April on Amazon, and then we're in 18,000 grocery stores rolling out through the rest of the year.
And it's basically, obviously, Italian food, sauces, what else?
Yes, we got everything.
Pasta.
We got 36 products.
Oh, well, we got to look into this. All right.
Oh, you're going to love it, too.
I'll tell you, I love to cook. It's a great relaxation. I'm Italian, as you know.
Oh,
and,
yeah, man.
It's part of the game, so I'm interested. Now, we're on the radio, obviously. We spoke a smidge about this before, and with respect to Sinatra and growing up with the radio, Amos and Andy and Inner Sanctum and so forth. I just wanted to get a feel. Do you get a chance now to, I know you're very busy, but, traveling here and there to get a feel for what's on the radio these days as opposed to back in the day when you loved the radio?
You know what's so funny? I like listening to the radio. Still.
I love it, too. It's so intimate. But what do you like about it,
Well, I like you said, it's my own time. I can listen to what I want. And, it's just, I probably listen to 4 or 5 hours of radio a day. Right. I watch the news and I put the radio on. It's a backdrop to my life.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to do is bring some fun to the radio. And I don't think many people are going to be able to claim that they've had as great a time on the air as we've had. We have enjoyed Hollywood, Godfather, My Life, and the movies and The Mob, the book. Robert De Niro with Robert De Niro on this, who says Gianni Russo walks the walk, talks the talk. What a life, a worthy read. Look for it on Amazon.com. And if you want to hear more of Gianni as a raconteur, Hollywood, Godfather, podcast.com. I'm going to cut in here 1 second right now. We taped this interview with Gianni Russo previously, and we wanted to come in and make a comment here and there. Now, this is our second of 2 shows with Gianni Russo, who kind of took us by storm here. We didn't know what we were going to get when we had this gentleman booked, and we opened the door like sort of Pandora's box here to a number of different topics, David Cohen.
No, it was great. It was a great interview.
And, we had some fun. So we will comment a little bit about what he was saying about The Godfather there. And, well, what about also all the business about Marilyn Monroe? Let's talk about that.
That was crazy. It was just so crazy. and the more questions you asked, the more he seemed to, open the door to this whole world he had with her. And his world in general. Right.
It was like stepping into a quicksand of silver and gold. Like we enjoyed being in the quicksand, but we were getting sucked down into a conversation that we didn't know we were going to get into, which was so great.
Well, it's almost like every answer he had just opened up like 10 more questions, right?
And then the Marilyn Monroe then took us into the mob, but then the JFK assassination.
And then the RFK assassination, and oh, God.
How much of listen, when they tell you to write a book, they tell you, amplify your life. We want to have something in there that's going to be something that people can grab onto, and we'll talk about, as we're saying here. He seems pretty straightforward to me. I don't know what to say. I think he did know Marilyn Monroe, and I think he was a part of the mob, and I think he certainly was in The Godfather, and so where are we on this?
Listen, I'm sure there's a little embellishment there, but. Right. What impressed me was the detail of the stories, of the memories, that you can't just make that up, right? And I think that kind of dictates to me how truthful a lot of it is, and I believe a lot of it, and I believe that's what he believes,
Right, which is so interesting, and he had even like an experience with, which we didn't get into. We should have talked about Robert De Niro's is a quote on his book talking about Gianni Russo. He says he walks the walk and talks the talk. What a Life, a Worthy Read by Robert De Niro. So he's been mixing and matching with people for quite some time, and he's got. Take a look at this book. It's worth a read. Make a determination yourself. But there's plenty more stories in this book than we're able to cover in the 2 shows of interviews with him.
That's for sure.
And I think it was interesting that you know, you look at the Godfather movie, and this character is really an ancillary character that you know because you know the movie, but has about 5 lines. He's integral to the whole plot, but he's gone pretty fast.
Yet, anyone who's seen The Godfather remembers his character.
Yes.
He's a real standout character.
Now, I visited, he came to the Huntington Book Review maybe 3 weeks after our interview. So I'm going to talk about that in the 4th section of our show. I brought my children to meet him, and I tried to show them a little piece of The Godfather that he was in.
That was brave.
Yeah, remembering that there's...
Bringing the kids.
6 and 9-year-olds.
Because there's some colorful language.
Yes, it's part of
let alone the stories, the content of the stories.
Yes, things you can't mention on the radio, and maybe shouldn't be mentioning at the book review in front of an audience, and or maybe not. I mean, he actually had. I'll just say this: he had a very big audience, and no one was disappointed. So, yeah, so we had some fun there, and this is a man that. I mean, he was in other movies we're not talking about. He was with Nicolas Cage in that movie where he goes back in time. You know that one? He was in Family Man, and it was worthwhile to do a little. Seabiscuit also he was in. That's why I'm struggling to find another one.
Oh.
So take a look at some of these movies. You'll take a little. You'll be taken aback. He looks different. He now looks like The Godfather. Am I wrong? The way he looks now, he looks like he would be The Godfather.
He could play the role.
We'll be back right at this and everything old is new again. Continue our interview with Gianni Russo, Hollywood Godfather, My Life in the Movies and the Mob. Right after this.
You're listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Welcome back to Everything Old is New Again. We are talking to Gianni Russo from The Godfather, Carlo himself, sharing some behind-the-scenes stories about some celebrities. I have to ask you one more question, one more thing. You had a food fight with Liza Minnelli. What goes on there? In the middle of all this life, all of a sudden there's food flying in Vegas in Dionne Warwick's apartment.
No, like you said, you like to cook. So we were out. It's like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't know how we got onto the subject of fettuccine Alfredo. So I said, well, I learned it from Alfredo himself in Rome. So I know my sauce is better than yours. So there was a bunch of us sitting around. In fact, one of my partners, who was a partner of my life, Nick Nitti, from the famous Nitti family out of Chicago, and he was there. So a bunch of us, I said, here's what we do. You go shopping, because in Vegas, you could shop 24 hours, you know.
Right.
I said, you go to the supermarket, and I'll meet you at the house on the golf course, because she was singing at the Riviera Hotel, as Dionne was, and Dionne had a house on the golf course that she leased to the hotel for the stars who didn't want to stay in the hotel, just to get away. It was on the Sahara golf course. So we go back to the house, and I make my sauce, she makes her sauce, and if you're a chef, you know, Alfredo's maybe 4 or 5 ingredients. It's fast. Right. It's not, it's not something that has to cook a long time. So we marked the plates. Everybody got 2 plates, hers and mine. Nobody knew who got what. And at the end, they voted, and then we'd raise it up and see who they liked. The whole table went with me. Because husband's a little... she didn't put enough ricotta cheese in it. But anyway, because it was soupy.
Right.
So she reaches in my bowl and makes a snowball, because we had like 2 pounds each. That's a lot of pasta. And so she throws it at me. I duck, and it hits flock and foil wallpaper. It's stuck like, forget about it. Next thing you know, so I picked up when I throw it at her. Everybody gets in. We had a snowball fight, but it was fettuccine Alfredo. It was hanging on the chandeliers. It was on everywhere. There was like $15,000 worth of damage. And Eddie Torres out of Detroit, he was running that casino. And he said, Johnny, what the hell did you do last night? I said, I didn't do anything. He said, they told me you destroyed that house. I said, it was Liza. He says, Liza? I said, yeah, tell Liza. I called Liza up. I said, Liza, you're taking care of this. I ain't paying you $15,000 for that. You started the fight, and she covered it.
Now, she sounds like a good-natured, kooky might not be the right word, but a good-natured, fun...
Kooky is pretty good.
There you go.
Kooky on cocaine, kooky.
How about that? So you had some fun with her. She was a good-natured individual.
Oh, my God. Yeah. We were friends. I was on stage at the Blue Max, the Marriott at the Regency O'Hare, and she said, I want to come out. Now, can you imagine... She walks on my stage. Hello. I was packed every night. And then I had Tony Accardo sitting ringside every night. That was crazy. It was crazy time.
Because of course, I didn't mention it previously, but Gianni Russo has been a performer, a singer in the past as well, following up with your association with Sinatra, I guess, something of that nature.
He was my singing teacher.
Yeah, there you go. How about that?
I had one acting teacher, Marlon Brando, one acting teacher, Frank Sinatra. How could I not, achieve what I've done?
That's the best. That's the best. All right, man. That's terrific. Listen, we had a great time. HollywoodGodfatherPodcast.com. That's the first thing you got to look up. HollywoodGodfatherPodcast.com. Every week, every Wednesday, there's a new show that you're going to hear Gianni Russo raconteur story after story and reflect upon life today as well. He's the grand ambassador for Don Corleone. Well, we could say this, the Corleone family of fine Italian food. You may not have to look it up on the internet after April because it'll probably be in your grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
We'll put it that way.
Thank God.
But if you want to take a look ahead of time, feel free. In addition to that, of course, we've said it before, we're going to say it again. This is a book that you're going to pick up and not want to put down. It's going to cause you to be late to work, I'll tell you, because you're going to read it before you go to bed, and you're going to stay up till 2 in the morning reading this thing. Hollywood, go ahead.
Yeah, I wish we had another few hours with Gianni. I mean, that's how much. Like, I want to read the book, but I want to talk with you some more.
Hey, anytime, if you have a guest that gets sick, call me up.
There we go. Perfect. Again, Hollywood Godfather, Gianni Russo, My Life in the Movies and the Mob. Listen, Johnny, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
No, I appreciate you inviting me on. I really do. And to your audience, don't stop listening to these guys. They're great, man.
There we go. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. We're going to spread the word, vice versa. And I will see you at a signing around in Huntington in a couple of days. And I'm happy to see you. I will definitely be there, the book review. All right, great, in Huntington. So I'll see you then, Johnny. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Johnny. We're going to pause right here for a moment with Gianni Russo. We've got a couple more minutes, but we had to interview this gentleman, as you know, previously, and I'm here in studio with David Cohen, commenting upon the interview. I think it's kind of interesting, and the book itself. David, now, have you had a chance yourself, maybe not, to review some of the pictures in this book?
I have, actually, and they're amazing because they're visual proof of these meetings and possible relationships he's had with these very famous people.
Like Sinatra is clearly holding his child in one of these pictures.
Right.
And it's The Godfather.
I guess it could be another child, and Johnny's just standing next to him, but, what are the odds of that, right? It's got to be his kid.
Yeah, it's amazing. And he's here with the picture I see with Liza Minnelli right now. I'm looking at Lorna Luft, Gianni Russo, and Liza Minnelli in the picture right here.
And it's not like, photobombing was a thing back in the 50s. So these were very staged, very meaningful photographs.
Right. So the Liza Minnelli story, which we just heard, I think is pretty right on the mark. Yeah. Now, I got a picture here with Pope John Paul II, with the Pope, who, seriously, to get a picture with the Pope takes a lot of hoops to go through.
It really does.
And there he is.
Yeah, so he didn't just get an audience with the Pope. He got a photo op with the Pope. That's amazing.
He's like Forrest Gump. He really is. He's in all of these various events. And he has a story in the book, which we didn't get into, about the Vatican.
Oh, really?
And what went on, and he's gotten some involvement there, which is very interesting.
That's got to be colorful. Huh?
Yes. He got a picture here with Liz Taylor.
How do you like that?
He's got a picture here with Ted Kennedy. And then he's got a whole picture from the movie he was in. We spoke about previously with Family Man, with Nicolas Cage and Jeremy Piven and whoever was in that movie.
Yeah, he's the Forrest Gump of the Mafia.
He is unbelievable. Now, the question that we didn't ask that you need to read in the book is, how does a person that has no acting experience at all get into The Godfather and be a principal, we'll call it,
connections.
character?
I thought it was through connections with Frank Costello.
Well, how did Costello then get him into this movie?
I thought he knew someone who was making them. I thought there was some connection between Frank Costello and whoever was making that movie.
And I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'm just going to say read the book to find out.
Okay.
What I think is very interesting is the character that was Luca Brasi was also in the mob.
Ah.
And he was someone that was sent on site to act in the movie from the mob. He could not act. So do you know the scene where he's stumbling his words and all that?
That's got to be true, right?
They just had him do that. They incorporated that into the scene because they said this character, he just can't act. So let's act it like he's nervous and he wants to do it that way.
And it was very believable. Well, let me ask you, so do you believe his stories?
I believe that there is a germ of truth in everything that he says. He was there with Liza Minnelli. He was there with the Pope. He was there on set with Marlon Brando, and Brando came to see him as he described.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think the way he tells it might be a little more colorful than it actually happened in real life. But I think the germ of the events certainly were there.
And why do you think he chose now, so late in life, to write this book?
I think it's one of these where, when he's in his 70s, most of these people have passed, or
he's not afraid.
He's not afraid of them anymore. Costello's gone. He's out of the mob. He could talk about that. That's probably the most difficult thing, I think, of this that you.
But then
would
again,
approach.
they've knocked off older people than him.
True, but he's distanced himself from it. He's gotten out of it. One of these people that I don't think you really easily get out of that environment. He got out of the environment through the entertainment field. Maybe it's something where he wants to remain, in the spotlight a little bit, so that someone couldn't.
Have you heard him? Have you heard him actually say why he's coming out with the book now?
No, it really probably would be a good question.
I forgot to ask him that. I meant to ask him, but I just got so enthralled in the stories.
Yeah, there's
that's
so
part of
stories.
his charm, right?
Yeah.
You forget that you're all of a sudden you're lost in his world.
Exactly,
and you just go with
and
it.
it's from one to the next, whether it's appropriate or not. If you notice, if you want to do a little trivia, you'll see and hear from the 2 shows that we've done with him. Here and there, I'm clipping out a word or a phrase or two, which we had to clip out some things.
Listen, when we get
story.
our Patreon site up, which we should do, that's when we should allow the full uncut version to Patreon members.
It would be well worth the price of admission to hear what he had to say. Yeah. We'd also put behind the scenes stuff. We'd just tell them, when you call in, everything we're taping, and some of it we might put on the web, whatever, so that we are not in trouble. But we want to, behind the scenes is fun, besides what happens right on the radio.
Right.
So we'll be back right after this. Everything old is new again. Continue with Gianni Russo.
This is Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Hi, my name is Gianni Russo, and I'm the author of Hollywood Godfather. It's currently on sale on Amazon, and you're listening to Everything Old is New Again with my good friend Doug and David.
Now, this is interesting. We're back here on Everything Old is New Again. We've completed our interview and our time with Gianni Russo for the last 2 shows. We have 1 segment left. When he says that he's a friend of ours, do you get what he means?
I get nervous.
Do you any idea what that means in the lingo of world?
No, but
view?
you have. What are you thinking?
Well, when people that are in the Costa Nostra,
the family,
yes, they say he's a friend of mine, and when they say you're a friend of mine, that means you're in the mob as well.
Are we in the mob?
So I don't know. That scares me a little bit. I'm kidding around, but it's a very big term of endearment. Let's put it that way. It means something.
I hope it doesn't mean something else.
We get a knock on the door one of these days. You all right over there, Dave? Hey, David Cohen. It might be his last show.
You let the cats in the studio?
No. Why? You feel cats?
I feel like my throat is
I'd rather actually, from all of this, I'd prefer you eating on the air than to phlegm it up.
Well,
like
maybe
you just
that'll
did
help.
before.
I have some yogurt I can go get.
Well, that's not noisy enough. You could get the yogurt. Feel free. But I'm looking for something
I
noisy.
can cough and eat, cough and eat.
All right,
cough
do
and
that.
eat.
Do that. Go get it.
I don't have a spoon.
Oh, okay.
But let's plow on. I'll be fine. I feel it opening. I feel the sinuses
You
opening.
can open the window in the studio here if you like.
It's open.
Oh, could be coming
All right,
in from
keep
the outside.
talking. I'll also look to see if our friend is looking at us through the window or send someone over
You
here.
said the word friend. Now, we're friendly. We're friends. I went to the Huntington Book Review where Mr. Russo was presenting, and I brought my 9 and 6-year-old.
You sure you didn't bring your kids to protect your own physical safety?
Wanted to make sure that
You wouldn't shoot a guy with 2 little kids, would
I
you?
had some bodyguards with me. And as we walk in, the place is packed. So the power of the Godfather movie, I think, because that's what this gentleman is known
Sure.
for more than
Yeah.
anything else, for the general public, is still, to this day, so significant. I think it's so interesting. It's just Huntington, Long Island. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not, Las Vegas, right? And it's a bookstore off of Main Street. So, and it's a Thursday night. In March.
And it was packed.
And it was packed. I walk in with the kids, and Johnny gives a little bit of a nod and a wave.
Did he know you were coming in
He knew I
advance?
was coming.
Okay.
And I had the Everything Else New Again shirt. So I stood a little bit off to the side. I kind of showed the
pointed at the logo.
right.
Not too obvious.
And he gave a little bit of a wave, and that was kind of nice. And
did he give you the wave like, I think I'm supposed to know you kind of wave, so I'm going to wave? Or is it, hey, Doug, yeah, sure.
No, it wasn't hey, Doug. It was just like, yeah, all right, what, buddy, yeah. Like, those... I shouldn't even say it was wave. It was more of a, the nod.
The knowing nod.
The nod, yeah, okay, buddy, yeah.
Okay, there's a nut in the house. I'll just nod at
with
him.
The 2 kids. And my point is that he's actually looking at me standing with this 9-year-old and 6-year-old. The rest of the crowd's advanced in age, right?
Okay.
And he proceeds to talk about the Marilyn Monroe story.
Oh, no.
And he does not edit it the way I edited it on the air.
Oh, no.
And he talks about body parts.
Oh.
And how they become elongated
Oh,
and so
come
forth.
on.
Yes. And he's using certain words, and he's a little bit graphic with his discussion, and he's getting a great response from the adults.
All right, but so in honesty, did your I know your kids very well. Did they get it? Did they
The
understand?
minute I heard the Marilyn Monroe story beginning and his wind up, let's say, some thing he said on the air here that I had to cut out, that was kind of clean, but still, I knew that he was not going to edit himself. So I think that was the reason for the nod, because he must have been saying, buddy, I'm going to be talking about stuff here. Why don't you get out? I don't know.
And you had 2 kids, so you couldn't do earmuffs, right? Because you only have 2 hands, and you had 4 ears.
Right.
So what did you do? You just stood there like an idiot.
I immediately turned around and said, guys, let's go take a look at some books. So it cost me like $30 because I had to buy some books for the kids and sneak into a different part of the store, if you will.
Okay.
Out of earshot. And
did
then
you come back?
I came back and forth while they were searching for books. And he was telling some of the stories that he told.
So you left
the
the kids. You left the kids unattended in a big bookstore.
No, Leo wouldn't allow that. If I'm like in public, if I'm more than 5 feet from Leo, he's
So how did you get away?
I just sort of just guided them
Snuck
to look.
You snuck away.
Oh, look at this science fiction category here, guys. Look at the adult fiction here, guys.
So maybe they didn't notice you were gone.
Right. No. I'm asking them to look at books on the bookshelves where I'm in an area where I can still hear him.
Oh, you weren't out of earshot.
Right. I was out of...
Okay,
they weren't paying attention at that point anymore.
I got it now. Yeah.
So they're looking at books. I'm listening and so forth. So we're having a nice time. I had a buddy of mine was there from our softball team all these years ago. Dan Collins was there.
Oh, sure.
And so anyway, we went ahead and he spoke for about an hour.
Wow.
And he's a raconteur.
I'm not surprised.
He answered questions, and people were so interested, and some people had read the book, and people were laughing at the different stories, and then they were horrified at some of the other stories. And
sometimes laughing and horrified at the same time.
Exactly. And then so I had the promotional copy of the book, so I was ready to get that signed up. But, of course, this place says if you don't buy a book from us, you have to spend as much as the value of the book to get an autograph. So I spent the money on the kids' books, which is okay.
Right.
So it worked out good that way, and I did my thing, and we went up the stairs. Afterwards, it goes to sign upstairs. There's a little area. So we walk upstairs, we wait in line. There's a lot of people talking. I overhear people talking. They're talking about the Godfather and and how interesting this and that and the other was. And everyone's got a book. And
so this was after the talk.
Yes.
Now we had a separate book
Yes,
signing.
he's very gregarious, and he's talking to people, and he's taking pictures with everybody, and he's dapper, and he'd wear a tie. I was surprised. I guess that's not the style anymore. He had an open shirt, but he had the jacket on, and he was, he was in good mood, and he was doing the right thing, and having a fun time, and we're getting closer, and the kids still don't have any idea who this person is. And I was like, I'm trying to tell him he's a movie star and this and that, and I didn't say anything about other things. But so we finally get there. And I have my Everything Old is New Again shirt on, as I think I just said, right?
Sure.
And he had seen our regalia before. He knew he was on the show. He had seen his email directly to him and all. Thought that he would recognize, what the heck. And I sent him an email that day, and I said I'd be there. He said, okay. So we get in there with my buddy and myself and Leo and Angelica. And we walk around behind the desk where he's got the book, and he's going to sign the book, and all that's fine, that's easy. We want to take a picture, and the people in the bookstore are so good; they're all lined up. Everyone could take a picture, which
cool.
I thought was terrific.
Yeah.
So here's my take a picture. So as Leo comes over, Gianni looks over to Leo. He goes, "Hey, what?" He says, "Leo, come on, man, smile." Leo's all frowning. He's all upset. "Come on, man, loosen up." I go, "Gianni, you were on the radio the other day with us. Everything Old is New Again." He goes, "Nice to see you and your partner. Good to see you guys." I thought he thought we were a family.
I thought that meant your radio partner. Like
No.
he thought your friend was me.
Oh well, I don't know what he thought.
But you took it as
he made it seem like you guys were
you're a
family
gay couple
unit.
and you had these
which
two
is totally
kids.
fine. I have no problem with that. But I was in the middle of discussing Everything Old is New Again. I'm the guy from the show. We had a conversation. We were on for 2 hours, 2 different shows.
He had no recollection.
You knew I sent you an email earlier today that I'm here. Here's the book that you sent me.
He had no recollection.
No idea at all. He was so off base as to think that I was with my family just from Huntington and how are you? And I was bothering him like I was saying too many words. He was kind of like, and instead of talking to me, he goes, "Leo, wake up. It's okay, Leo." Like he didn't even want to talk to me. And we take the picture and all that. And on the way, I go, "Leo," I go, "Johnny, it's great to see you. Thanks again. Great job on the radio." He just looks at me.
And
he's done a lot of press. He has done a lot. Right. So I don't know. He had no idea who I was.
He didn't know who you were.
I put the shirt on, my jacket on, and we walk out. And I just turned to my buddy, and I go, "He had no idea who I was."
Wow.
And Dan goes, "Yeah, no, he did."
Oh gosh, I am so because I was going
the perspective. I wanted to get a second opinion. Dan confirmed what I thought.
Oh my gosh, I am so glad that I didn't go see him separately because I had planned to see him before you did because he was in New York City doing a similar signing at a Barnes and Noble, and I had last minute plans I had to cancel, but. There's no way he would have remembered me. And I would have been a real idiot. Like, hey, remember you were on the...
Because then you feel like you're that guy.
Exactly.
I called it like the guy who calls in a radio show once, like in 1981, and now's calling back. You remember the call that I called and I spoke about, different stadiums to visit? You know what I mean? Remember, like that guy, what was it, on Saturday Night Live, And I felt like I didn't want to press it anymore, but I was trying to get as many words as I could, as quickly as could, to get him the idea, that I was the guy from the radio. But
remember, I was the caller that talked about how the Mets were stupid for trading Seaver.
Right, exactly.
40 years ago, right?
Joe Youngblood was never going to replace Seaver in the lineup, and Pat Zachary. How bad is it? I remember that trade, the players in the trade.
That's bad. That's bad.
Anyway.
That's disappointing. Well, I mean, in one way, it's understandable because he does. I'm sure he does a lot of press junkets,
and he's just been with like hundreds of people that night.
Right.
So we were at the end of the line.
Maybe it was more self-delusion on your part, thinking that he would know who you were, which is understandable also.
Such is the power of radio.
It was an unfortunate passing of two ships in the night. One of the ships was sending out these light beams and flares. Hey, remember me? The other ship was like,
just calm down, guy. I see you.
Hurry, there's a stalker ship. Let's get out of here.
We'll be back next week to share more fun and insights about the power of radio and entertainment on the America's Entertainment Pop Culture Talk Show. Everything Old is New Again. We'll be back next week. Keep tuning in. Thank you. Look at this. Here we go. Nice.
From best-selling author and award-winning writer, actor, and director Alan Alda comes his new book, If I Understood You, Would I Have This Look on My Face? In the book, Alan shares powerful lessons in the science of communication, improving the way we relate to each other using improv games, storytelling, and our own innate abilities to read the true thoughts and feelings of others. Be sure to pick up your copy of Alan Alda's If I Understood You, Would I Have This Look on My Face, available now from Random House.
You've been listening to Everything Old is New Again, America's pop culture entertainment talk show. Find us on the web at everythingoldisnewagain.biz. That's .biz.
See you next week. Same bat time, same bat station.